Welcome to Matrix Live, Season 2, Episode something, 35, I would say. Or 36
like
maybe.
40, 50, I don't know. Season 2.5.
This week, a bunch of things happened on Riot. We had a release. Release candidate on 0.17, I think was released today. It's mostly providing the lazy loading, which I'm lying, it was last week.
Was it last week? What? No, the RC shipped yesterday.
Yes, but that's lazy loading, was lazy loading before.
No. This is the first time we're turning on lazy loading by default. We put it on to develop by default last week, but now it's actually shipping onto staging by default. And once we ship 0.17 on Monday, probably, there's going to be a phased rollout because it causes every Riot to completely resync, which will otherwise completely overload your favorite home server. But I think it's going to roll out gradually over the week. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it does reduce the ROM quite a lot. So yeah, it's good that it eventually is here. It's been a bit of a painful birth, but we got there.
Yeah.
It's already lazy loading is already shipped on iOS by default as well. Android is still going through edge cases fixing, but should be soon. It's still available behind the labs flag on Android. And
we did ship a new release of Android Bug. I think it has it as a labs flag potentially, although ironically there was a bug caused by a non-pointer exception in the store on that release, which caused all of the Androids to resync, which is why we had a day of rather bad sync performance on matrix.org a few days ago. Apologies if you got caught in the fallout of that. And yeah, ironically, it showed us just how bad it would be if we shipped lazy loading without a gradual rollout. So that's why we're doing that.
The Android guys are also working on re-architecting the Android SDK, try to make it nicer and better and faster and everything.
Yep. So we ended up in France last week, hanging out with the guys in Rennes, and had a workshop to try to discuss what the best architecture might be, both in the short term and the longer term. And in fact, what we're doing is the proof of concept for the mobile version of the redesign is going to be done using the new architecture, just to see how well it goes. And I think the idea is even not to do it as an SDK to start with, just have it as a really simple standalone Android app, using Realm for the database and using RX Android for the reactive data flow model, and see how it performs. Only doing it as a read-only client, so literally see how it handles initial and incremental sync. But given that the performant hard bit of the app in terms of how rapidly you can log in and how rapidly you can load up the real data and switch between rooms and that sort of thing, hopefully it should be pretty exciting and indicative. So if people have been looking for Android to speed up massively at any point in the last couple of years, it might be happening quite soon.
Indeed. It's nice. On the Ohm side, it's speaking WASM, but I need your...
WASM. WebAssembly. And I think we might have mentioned this last week, at least in writing.
Because there was no...
It's blocked in a release of Ohm, which in turn means updating all the bindings for the various different platforms, which is almost done. So irritatingly, it's not going to be in Riot 17, but it does speed up the end-to-end encryption by a factor of 20 on Riot Web.
Going to be amazing.
Well, it probably won't be that noticeable unless you're in a big room. Most people use it on smaller rooms. But yeah, it'll be fun to see how fast the Mega Ohm test room goes after we fix this.
And we're also progressing on the end-to-end backups. So that's also quite an interesting feature.
Yeah, they're done, pretty much. They've been in review on the server side.
I guess we're just missing the UX.
Well, we've got the placeholder UX in there, but everything else, including the server side, which is a Mahusive patch, is all being reviewed and almost done. And tell me about end-to-end UX, Andy. There's been a E2E UX room which has just had notification every 2 seconds from about 8 a.m. this morning, which I kind of turned off notifications on after about an hour. So what did I miss?
Exciting stuff. I think we mentioned it not long ago that we've been working with NAD on the eventually putting together this beautiful user experience for our crazy end-to-end encryption, which is hard because the end-to-end we have is very powerful and has many settings that we can tweak. But if you want people who are used to WhatsApp to be able to use Riot, you also need to make it quite accessible and hide a lot of settings and make decisions on what is good, easy, bad for the user. And poor Nad has been forced to understand all the tricks of the end-to-end encryption to be able to come up with good wireframes on how the whole thing would work between cross-signing devices, verifying devices, backupping your keys, and all these subtleties that a lot of people don't really care about, but a lot of another half of the people actually do care about and want to be able to say whether they're do not send messages to devices who are not verified, or if they just want to be notified if the device is not verified, etc., etc. So yeah, huge work, lots of very tricky decisions to be made, and make sure we don't forget any use case, but we're getting there. We have a whole bunch of wireframes which we will probably share next week with the community.
I was thinking we could do a very quick sneak preview, which is why I've been dicking around for my phone.
Yeah, and I was about to say it's very distracted, but I assumed you were. I
get distracted. I have a razor sharp attention span.
I'm not talking. No, I was saying it was distracting for me to see you typing away, but I guess that you were preparing something. So what I was saying is that we will probably have a full blog post with lots of details in it to show you guys how this is coming together, but sneak preview.
Yeah, let's just see if we can do a sneak preview on my phone. This is not exactly going to be the sophisticated thing, but here is one of your typical... What?
There is anything visible.
Yes, it's fine. It's fine, because the thing is, it's a work in progress. We can just do it like this. So yeah, you've got your sort of login page there, and you click on your button. These are all wireframes, they're literally blueprints. And then you have that, which is like your scan this in order to verify that you are who you say you are. So cross-signing happening there on the user side, or you can press that button and you can go in and enter your recovery code if you have one, if you don't want to cross-sign, and all this exciting stuff. So I mean, it's all happening. It's all slightly up in the air, which is why we're not sharing a link and instead showing a shitty screen cap of the phone, but it's happening.
Yeah. So yes, this is exciting, as well as the redesign of Riot itself, which is also progressing in parallel.
Bruno's been working away on it, and poor guy's ill today, but it's a good couple of days. Which, I'm sure there's no correlation there at all. But now, after a couple of days during the week, it's looking really good, and it's so nice to be working on it at last. So we're still hoping to get something out on /experimental by the end of the month. So watch this space.
Yeah. Quite a lot of front-end side this week, but also back-end side.
Yeah, and actually on the front-end side in general, I should also mention that Travis has been blitzing through first impression bugs, albeit with a bunch of distractions from debugging Federation woes. But that's looking pretty promising. And over the next month or two, we're really going to try to do nothing other than get, on the Riot side at least, we're not trying to do anything other than get Riot to a decent level of polish and get the redesign out at last. So on the TNAP side of things, there's been a lot of work on Federation fixes happening on VDH's side, investigating all sorts of Federation failure modes and fixing those. And Python 3 is now very nearly complete. In fact, we're using it on matrix.org for the first time ever as of yesterday. I've put my personal account on matrix.org through it, and it seems to be working fine. So we're hoping to roll it out across at least some of the workers there on Monday morning. And then hopefully we'll be able to do a major release of XenApps with Python 3 turned on by default for everybody, which will reduce RAM by about 2 to 3 times and speed things up, because garbage collection is way better and generally make the world a much, much better place. So congratulations to Amber, who's been hacking away through doing that, and also completely rebuilding all of our continuous integration stuff at the same time to make sure that we actually test whether Python works on Python 3 with workers and all the other different configurations.
Yeah, also implementation of state reset.
Yep, so state reset mitigations and state resolution v2 is happening again. Eric has been working away on it, and sounds like it's going okay. There's been another round of review on the spec work we did a few months ago on it, so that's fun. Optimization work on state group state management is also in progress. So this was a lot of fairly crappy code that I wrote for the lazy loading implementation on Synapse, which Eric is refactoring to improve the performance of, and that's pretty much done. And once that has landed, there's also going to be the Rust state compressor script deploy on matrix.org. So this was Eric's magic state compression thing I mentioned a few weeks ago, which is now finished. It's done. It even lives on the matrix.org GitHub repository. And I think the idea is that we'll run it in the next couple of days on matrix.org, which will reduce disk space by a factor of 10. And we should also try to make sure that everybody else knows about it in the release notes so they can actually run it too, as fun as it is to build these amazing tools and then forget to tell anybody about them. So that's probably about it on Synapse.
You've played with Dendrite.
Yep.
And you had fun.
I had fun playing with Dendrite last night. Poor old Dendrite, which currently doesn't have anybody looking after it from the core team. But yeah, we'll hopefully have some folk to spend some time supporting it in the nearest future. But what I did was to have a play with Docker for Mac and Dendrite and span up a swarm of a couple of hundred Dendrite instances, which was rather cute to see Docker and Dendrite was magically working together doing their thing. Quite why I thought it was a good idea to spin up however many hundred Dendrites is a very good question, and someday we might know the answer. Who knows? Spec stuff. So I did some work on the spec, trying to fix the confusing MSC process and actually merge the MSCs about how to do MSCs. I got about a quarter of the way through, and I've got a bunch more stuff to do there.
On the editable messages, so Hardshot had a revelation on it, which may or may not work. I think it unraveled a bit, but
it did,
still...
a little bit. It's better than nothing though, and would at least for most of the time show you the edited version of a message.
Okay, I'm not sure I want something which works only most of the time.
It will be useful for it'll be useful for bridges, whatever. Okay. So that when you're bridging through to Slack or Discord or wherever, and goes and edits a message, then it will, or in Telegram even, it will show it in a consistent way rather than making it up as it goes, as it does at the moment, or GitHub for that matter.
Cool. Travis has been playing with the GDPR TNCs as well.
Yep, so it's a new MSC for an API for the terms and conditions, which has got a bit mired, but we're determined to unmire it. I think some of that is also mired in the MSC process, to be honest, which is why I was looking at it. There's stuff going on room versioning, which has returned to room versioning as part of the R0 spec work, and also, as I mentioned, the state res stuff for R0.
And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, quite a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's been a bit of a long week, which might be why we're a little bit dead. Not quite as dead as Calix in the corner. Where is he? There we go. He looks pretty dead, doesn't he?
Calix. Calix.
Oh, Gay's not dead.
Oh. Come say hi.
You were internet famous today, dog.
Yeah, I think you had quite a lot of likes on your special tweet from Neil.
Indeed. Cool. Well, have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks for continuing to fly Matrix. And I should mention that if you're in Berlin week after next, we're going to be at the Web3 Summit talking alongside folks from a bunch of different projects about decentralized messaging and decentralization full stop, which will be fun.
Yeah, it will. Especially as Berlin in autumn is pretty nice.
Yeah. What else?
I think that's about it.
Cool.
See you, folks. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.